So what we're going to see is an entire Parallels RAS deployment in about 12 minutes. So we're going to kick that off live. So that's always interesting to see. And we'll take a look at the demo template here as well. So this is a Bicep template deploying an entire RAS infrastructure in any Azure subscription, in any Azure region, in about 12 to 13 minutes, which then allows you to start publishing applications and desktops, which from a Parallels RAS point of view can be coming from Azure Virtual Desktop or from any of our supported on-prem hypervisors as well. So let's take a look at that. So in the meantime, this also finished, so let me get this out of the way. So we have the Parallels RAS example here, and I have this Bicep template, which is already a little bit larger, so around 700 lines of code. And we are also, by the way, sharing all of this code on our GitHub as well. But a lot of parameters actually for this Bicep template. And the reason is that we want to make sure that you are able to reuse this across all of the different environments that you want. So you can specify networking for all of our infrastructure components, whether that's connection brokering or secure gateway or session host servers. You can also size this environment to your needs. So how many of the connection broker and secure gateway infra components do you want? What is going to be the sizing of that? What's the operating system? What is the Azure load balancer we're going to use on top of it as well? We're going to store some credentials inside Key Vault. We're going to optionally also join them all to an existing Active Directory domain. So a whole list of parameters, a short list of variables that I won't cover today. But there's a couple of resources here defined as well. So first we start with all of the networking. So we create optionally, if you wanted to, separate VNets for our connection broker components, for our secure gateways, for optionally a management server if you want to deploy it as well as all of the session host servers that are part of it. Then we're going to deploy X number of network adapters. So we're going to use looping in there as well. So depending on how many connection broker servers you want, we're going to create network adapters. We're going to create virtual machines as well. And lastly, on top of those virtual machines, we're going to join them using a domain join extension to an existing domain and also install a couple of Parallels RAS roles on it. So once all of these virtual machines are complete, it will kick off a couple of PowerShell templates to do some post-completion actions like downloading the latest Parallels bits and installing all of the infrastructure roles and making sure that you're entirely ready to start publishing applications and desktops on that solution. So the rest of the template, I won't cover it, but it's basically the same, but also for other infrastructure roles. Again, if I would do a visualization here, this already gets larger, as you can see. But this is, in high level, what we are going to deploy. So again, the visualizer is definitely helpful here, although it's a little bit of a spaghetti diagram right now, but you get the idea. So let's go ahead and deploy this and see what happens. So I have a couple of examples here. In this case, I will use AZ group deployment create. So basically what I tell it to is to call this deployment Bicep demo. This is the resource group where I'm deploying it. Currently it's only one, but it can be multiple, of course. And this is the template and the parameters I'm going to pass to it. So let's go ahead and kick it off right now because it takes about 12 to 13 minutes to complete. So within a couple of seconds, we will see shifting to deploying and to running, indicating that the Bicep template arrived in my Azure subscription and is now going to deploy the resources. Don't worry about all of the yellow code. That's because I'm using some preview code for Bicep as well. But it's now starting and running and ready to start deploying. So that takes about 12 minutes to complete. So let's quickly switch to Azure Portal to already hopefully see some results there. And let's go into the resource group that I defined it to deploy in, which is this one right here. We can see that there is an active deployment. And if we open up this deployment, it's been running for just 27 seconds, but it has already deployed all of these resources for us. So network adapters, a public IP address for our load balancer, a network security group with all of the rules predefined in it, virtual machines, Azure load balancers, an Azure Key Vault to store all of the credentials in a secure way, virtual machines, and it's already joining these virtual machines to the domain. So if I make a little bit more room here, we can see that, in fact, those 5 virtual machines are already completed, are already ready and running in Azure, and are now going to be joined to my existing, in this case, Active Directory, or could have been the Entra ID domain as well. So again, this takes about 12 minutes to complete, and once these VMs are joined to the domain, it will download and install a couple of post-deployment actions to make this an entire ready deployment. So we're not going to sit and wait, of course, and take a look at that. So I have already prepared an existing environment, so let me switch to that. Before I do that, so this is an Active Directory environment. You probably guessed that, right? So there's currently no virtual machines inside this organizational unit, but if I refresh it here, hopefully we'll see a couple of objects appear here. I might be a little bit too quick. There we go. So it's now already actively adding these virtual machines as part of our infrastructure to Azure. So within a couple of seconds, we should see all of the 5 resources be joined here. We're not going to wait for that, but that is what's happening in the background right now. Let me switch to the full deployment and take a look at it from a Parallels RAS console. For those of you who joined the session that Louis did yesterday, you probably recognize this. Just want to highlight what exactly it deploys. Let me just zoom that in a little bit. Oh, didn't mean to do that. Okay. So what it did deploy is the number of secure gateways that I selected, the number of connection broker servers, and it also created what we call an Azure Virtual Desktop provider. So if I go into the provider, this is where we define the connection towards Azure for us to communicate with the Azure Virtual Desktop control plane, which is optionally, but if you want to deploy resources as part of AVD, you can already do that because it has been all prepared. So that includes registrations and permissions and resource activations and everything that you need to get started. So a full Parallels RAS deployment running in Azure in about 12 minutes. That's the end result of what we're looking at. So right now, as I zoom a little bit out, you can probably see that it's right now it is running those extensions on top of those virtual machines. So this should complete in about 5 or 4 minutes or so. So let me go back here and we'll just leave this screen running here. We'll get back to it in 10 minutes or so to actually see the end result. Let me actually just open it up again to get a better view. There we go. And I'll zoom it in and we'll leave that running and we'll get back to it in about 8 minutes or so. In the meantime, I want to talk about one more topic, which is the Azure Marketplace, and why we're talking about that. Azure Marketplace allows anyone, but ISV specifically as well, to allow customers and allow partners to purchase and deploy resources using the Azure Marketplace, using transactional offers. That's also what we did. So within Parallels RAS, we have a transactional offer available, which allows, for one, customers to use their Azure consumption commitment to purchase Parallels RAS licenses through the Azure Marketplace. Second, it allows partners and distributors to work together with us to create private offers for their specific customers. And the other thing is a full automated deployment of Parallels RAS. So guess what's the template that we're using? Underneath of that, that's the same Bicep template that you just saw. So what we did is on the left-hand side, we created what's called a deployment package. It's a zip file containing 2 files. One is a create UI definition. That's the screen that you see in the middle here, which allows the administrator to go through a couple of wizard-driven steps to define how large is the deployment, all of the parameters that we just saw, but then in a nicely to follow UI. You will also notice that it doesn't say Bicep here, but instead it says JSON. That is just a limitation towards the Azure Marketplace today, which unfortunately still does not support Bicep files natively. So what we did to make this work is we took our Bicep file, we transpiled it ourselves into JSON, and then we took this approach. And then the end result, if I scroll a little bit to the right, you can see that same environment with the secure gateway servers, the connection brokers, and all of the infrastructure components. And we also automatically license and activate that product for you. So if you purchase it through the marketplace, We are also injecting a license and making sure that you are, based on a pay-per-use model, able to use and work with the product right from the start. So that is the Azure Marketplace offer. Just want to quickly highlight that as another use case to use infrastructure as code templates as well. So last thing, let's switch back. And it succeeded. So 13 minutes and 39 seconds, and the entire deployment is now completed. So if I take a look at this deployment, we will see that all of the resources are in fact here. And if I group this by type, we can see that we have all of the managed disks, the key vault, the load balancer, the network adapters, and the entire deployment now finished.